Hi, how's it going? What's up, family? Hi. So we are currently outside of our apartment in our beautiful place, near Madeira Beach, that we just landed into like so surprisingly gracefully, although the week leading up to it was not graceful. But the landing,
we were graceful,
yeah.
But it was quite the space to navigate our grace.
Yeah, it was like walking on like a beam in a circus, but like someone decided to light the beam on fire. You know, and then like you had like a conductor below who was shooting arrows at you, and like you just had multiple things you had to dodge, and you're just kind of like hopping like a ballerina. You're just like, you know, like an arrow flies by your head, just, and you're just like, it's no big deal, you know, like it's not bugging me, but yeah, but then you had nightmares, so. You did have to do a little recoding on it, you know, a little trauma therapy, but that's okay. It was informed, all right? We understood what we were doing, so.
Yeah, so we have landed here and are weaving with the 2D Stargate Womb Portal Grail point. Krystal connected with Sarasota, Florida, and it's just been a wild adventure of birthing this white dragon of purity within the womb portal here, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so just a little context on that. So when we say 2D Stargate, we're talking about this sort of like access point into, it's, you know, if you were to look at the eternal tree of life, the 12-sphere tree of life, each of those spheres are access points into the dimensions. They house like specific parts of our consciousness. And so you can see the planet as also having that. And
so these spheres, they're actually these musical spheres that are within our bodies and within the planet system and within the universe as well. And they all are parallel. And so when we work and play within these spheres within our body, they all have specific locations, and or on the planet, you're really able to access and play in these layers to, you know, quite literally clear what's distorted and align what is truly divine.
Yeah, and so it's like when you go to them, they have all kinds of things, like they have lessons to teach you, you know, and some famous places, like obviously a big one's Sedona. A lot of people feeling flocked into Sedona, Arizona. That's the 1D Stargate. 2D Stargates, there's Temple Mount, there's Easter Island. A lot of people know about the craziness at Temple Mount. So it's not always just pure frequencies. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's distortion there too, you know.
Mm-hmm. And the 2D Stargate is really interesting because every Stargate has an external and an internal Stargate, but in the 2D Stargate here there are two external Stargates, and you know, before we arrived here I was like, why are there two outer Stargates, like what's that about? And since we've landed, which was August 11th 2023, we discovered that it's actually the womb portal. So in connection with the 2D is very much connected with a lot of that sacral energy in our pain body and all of the repressed and locked up elementals and houses of ego, so many aspects. And so the womb portal here is holding the potential of quite literally like bringing in the true Sophionic rays of the Divine Mother of Grace and really like bringing this holy frequency back into our wombs, really reestablishing the perspective of the womb within and collectively, because to reclaim the aspects of the mother that we lost in the fragmentation. And this is connected to our connection of the nature that we are.
And so, yeah, talking about the white diamond dragon of purity, right, we're talking about this sort of like, I mean, there's a correspondence, right, between what's happening inside of Daniela's womb and what's happening inside of Tampa Bay. And this awareness that, you know, with these dragons, it's a as within, so without, you know, as above, so below sorts of thing. And we aren't separate from the elementals. And so by birthing, right, these sort of like elemental aspects of ourselves, these parts of ourselves, powerful pillars, women doing this, people doing this, they're also setting them free on the planet. And then there's corresponding, sort of ones that house these frequencies on the planet that are these frequencies. And they're really bringing these things through and like sharing them. It's like once these things are birthed, like they're here, they're present, they're working with us. And this white diamond dragon of purity is really this innocent, sort of like reflection of like this dragon type energy that is so powerful and so creative and so nurturing and very much like the divine child, in a lot of ways.
And, as this beautiful dragon is birthed, then we truly then anchor those frequencies here, within. And as Gaia, as we are all birthing and awakening to our true organic divine nature. And for me, it's such a big deal because it's simultaneously happening within my womb with this particular white diamond dragon of purity and in the womb portal of creation. And so it's very intimate with me, and also it's collective. This dragon birthing here is monumental for our collective consciousness, because what this is purity birthing within the womb.
Yeah, and it's interesting, because some other people have been tapping into this, picking up on this as well, and talking about the white dragon, the white diamond dragon. We've been working with this really for weeks, and it's such like a big deal. I mean, I think that's why we really are all tapping into it in the collective, or many of us sort of pillars who can tune into those frequencies, is because it is like this purity, this innocence in your womb, in your sacral areas, in your sort of solar plexus, your root, like that whole entire lower dantian. It's really assisting you in like having your creative energies online and not having them stolen or siphoned or giving them away or infiltrated or any sort of unconscious consent, or like all these various different issues that can happen with our wombs, masculine having wombs too, but primarily women's wombs, right? And like, so this clearing and this birthing simultaneously being a huge reclamation of also just our energy and our sovereignty. And people talk about abundance and things, but they don't really understand there's a direct correspondence between our abundance and our energy in our bodies, the ways that these energies flow, how clear, how pure they are. And that's a constant journey of reclamation, and higher and higher realization until we really have our full 12D selves blueprints online, and then it's even more growth from there. So yeah. And then, with these mother frequencies and with these sort of inner child frequencies, we all have our relationship to it. So there's definitely the relationship to it as like a woman, as a feminine aspect. There's also the masculine relationship to it. And a lot of that is clearing up the modes of infiltration, or the ways that things have been out of balance in men. So just because we're talking about, sort of like the mother or the womb, we all are tapped into the mother. We all are tapped into the womb, and we all are tapped into these sort of like, child, inner child aspects. And we're really liberating, freeing ourselves through freeing them. And it's such a service to the planet when you can do this work on yourself and you can clear these things up.
Yes, and as this white diamond dragon of purity births, I see that what this really truly is this higher heart activation. Our thymus gland fully being in operation, and our diamond crystal hearts online. That's what I like to call our higher heart, our diamond crystal hearts. And, this level of operation is really those aspects of joy in our crystallization really planting these seeds of purity that we weave so that we may play as all rays every single day.
Yeah. A true articulation of the heart-womb connection, right? Having this sort of clear essence of frequency, like this conversation, but, you know, an articulation of like these energies flowing, right? Infinitely and perfectly across the channels, through these levels, even into our crowns as well, and beyond up to the 12th sphere. So it's really an articulation as well that like we are simultaneously clearing, purifying all of it, and it's all connected, it's all interlaced, and it's like that the heart is, it truly is that truth, like that essence coming through of who you are, especially the higher heart in the 8th dimensional levels, the 8th chakra, and this quarter seed atom, which is another word for that center, this thing you can activate inside your higher heart.
The diamond.
Yeah, diamond.
Diamond of our crystal hearts.
Yeah, and so, you know, we've been going through so many initiations and adventures since we've landed here, and a huge piece of this is this birthing of this white dragon of purity, and there have been layers of this birth occurring, and these layers have been so deeply connected with the elementals. And one of the first layers was when our family collectively, with our brother and sister Reza and Ryan, when we really activated the Azores, the higher heart of our planet, in connection with everything that they have been anchoring and holding there in that specific grid point, and then family all over the earth aligning in a coordinate to do this like choom choom of like our higher heart. And after this amazing sequence, you know, really came through, and it really began with this transmission. And within me, you know, Robert and another brother, Jared, this activation happened with my higher heart, where my higher heart exploded, and lightning quite literally flew out of it and went into the sky, and it started raining like instantly. And so, you know, this was the beginning, and then a whole beautiful sequence followed suit that really connected so deeply with the elementals, and a hurricane was coming through. And so we got really deeply initiated into what it truly means to be an elemental player on the land, on the ground, and we are the elements. We are the weather. And so if there's a storm tuning into, you know, inside, how can we come within and neutralize? And so this beautiful unfoldment happened between us, where we really went through that layer of birthing this white dragon of purity. And yeah, there were so many aspects to that.
Yeah, so that sequence with Ryan and Reza, just to backtrack a little, right before the ceremony, we had our own private ceremony that we did, where we were gridding our space using different frequencies, crystal tones and things, and then while we were sort of like around each other, we had this group fields, and there was this sequence of me and him putting our 3 monadic fingers on our higher heart, each of us, and then witnessing almost like this ankh, like the masculine holding an ankh on the divine feminine's higher heart, and then this like a staff with an ankh on top, and this creating this electromagnetic frequency that like radiated around us in like this sort of bubble like format, and you know, just this massive activation. And then we went into the higher heart activation, just crazy lit. And, you know, this is the thing a lot of people need to understand, is that when it comes to imagination, or sometimes things pop in your mind and you might just write them off, but it is the internal world speaking to you. It's showing to you these sort of like sequences or energetics or stories or various different things, and giving you a sort of context, a sort of structure around something that is beyond words, that is beyond. And so we have these multidimensional experiences in our third eyes. We witness this, and a big part of unlocking your ability to do that is going with it, flowing with it, speaking to your experiences. And I'm part of many different groups. I've been part of many different groups over the years where that sort of expression of the internal has been a huge thing, and then we start to confirm each other and see the same things. And so in that ceremony, in that sequence, we saw that. And that's a huge piece of what we do in our work in general, our grid work, our connection work. We are constantly in this bridging between the internal and external, right? These sort of quantum states and these sort of physical states. And another layer of this sort of alchemy is recognizing that you are impacting this planet on elemental levels, right? And when you really can step into that gnosis and that power, deeper levels of this sort of magic gets unlocked. And I know it might be a bit of a bridge for some people to cross, but you have to be as a child. You have to really be willing to play, to even see and say what's going on. The literal dense programs in your mind are what's splitting you from your ability to access this multi-dimensional elemental realm of quantum frequencies, from the ground, from the earth, to the water, to the air, to the fire, to the aether, to Azoth, and the merging of fire and water. And so when we are doing these things, we are unlocking more of our essence internally, and then it vibrates, radiates out through the dimensional layers. And one of the most brilliant articulations is actually the weather. It's actually the waves, the clouds, the frequencies, it's speaking. And we've had so many experiences, lightning booming with words that we say as confirmations, rain coming at its perfect moments, like literally during that sequence, the rain came immediately once we finished.
Yeah, confirmations and emanations of our expression as the elements ourselves. It's that true no separation, the true connection with the nature that we are, and being able to feel and see and weave that externally.
And so right after that higher heart sequence, I guess you could say there was an integration / further clearing process we went through of massive initiations. We were already doing this sort of elemental work and alchemy on the land in Sarasota, but that day I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I received from my teams, they were like, we went to bed at 2 a.m. and then I woke up at 4 a.m. and they were like I received multidimensionally from my teams, they're like, if you get up in the next hour and a half and do a whole day of ceremonies and sequences across these different areas, you will speed up your processes exponentially. And so we went on these journeys. At 5:30 a.m. I had to get her out of bed, resurrect her body because she was exhausted. We literally had a sequence at Sarasota at Siesta Key of just resurrecting the feminine from this exhaustion and spine decompression and all of these clearings and things, so we could do this work. And that being a huge piece of the work itself, though.
And then at Siesta Key too, in connection with that, there was this river that formed from the ocean, and so this whole cleansing was happening in this river frequency that was really beautiful. And in that, my beloved was helping me open up more of my wings. And then that's when I really saw, and the white dragon of purity within my womb was showing that this birthing of this purity within my womb really it swam up into my higher heart. It was showing this direct connection. And so that's really when that piece landed, and then it's been integrating and expanding. And that was my inner of that. And also here we have this beautiful, golden rutilated sphere.
Yeah. Golden rutilated quartz sphere.
Yeah, and that was really representing between us this kind of golden egg.
Yeah.
And so that went into the river to be cleansed too, because there's this beautiful alchemy happening between our union of truly learning what it is to alchemize the masculine and feminine and the fire and the water. And so, a lot of our sequences are so connected to this alchemy, which really is creating and emanating Azoth, the merging of fire and water. So I like to call Azoth the eternal light of Azoth, because Azoth is so connected with Aether and really weaves throughout all of the other elements, and it is this breath of creation that we all are. So wanted to share that piece about the siesta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's so interesting. Well, the siesta, we had another sequence at that beach, this siesta key, this ability to relax, to be gentle with the self. We had an incredible sequence actually there. Whole other big story. It was kind of like this birthing of our union on that beach.
That was on the Authentic Lionsgate, which was August 23rd, which was the day before my birthday, so it was really amazing and wild. And we anchored the Paradise Key, so that's worth mentioning. That day also was birthed in Siesta Key, the Paradise Key, and that we here within and on Gaia are anchoring Paradise, Sashikite Goroma.
Yeah. And so these keys and, these various different stones and, they like these various different crystals, they're huge parts of the alchemy that we use. And they reveal themselves to us. Sometimes it's as simple as a shell that has a spiral shape on it, being the long key. Then there is this Paradise Key, which is this golden sort of like a healing wand, like a sort of like acupressure healing wand of golden lepidolite that I have. And utilizing that over the years, I loved it so much. It was this incredible thing. It was actually really expensive. I felt called to buy it even though I didn't have much money. And then it really unfolded between the two of us that this was the Paradise Key that week. And ever since then, it's been teaching us, what is paradise? And also a part of our alchemy of our sequences, really taking this elemental sort of magic and uploading it into the ground or into our crystal grids that we put on the ground, or, having a deeper representation to us and a way of channeling these energies through than just being like, oh, this is just a golden lepidolite crystal that is so powerful in itself.
Yeah, and it's physical representation magic, when we have physical aspects to play with as we're quantumly weaving reality. And so it's bringing everything to here and then within the elements.
Yeah, it's this bridge. It's so childlike. It's so playful too. And it's interesting because let's say even at the beach, the land will do that for us as well. So what she's articulating, how the sand, sometimes it can kind of like sandbars, but this was almost the start of a sandbar. The tide was coming in, but the water, the sand was higher than the water in some points, so the water began to channel through in this channel, and then that became a representation of a channel. And we had this crystal, this sphere that was we were holding in the ceremony the night before. Epic sequence. Actually, that sphere, I felt like I was literally going to die sometimes while I was holding that because there was just so much merging and working between us, and we were just deep in this quantum session with so much frequency and out. It's just like, ah! But I felt like holding it. She literally had to resurrect me after the session. It was bonkers. So I guess we kind of resurrected each other. And then it became a part, the cleansing of that the next morning,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the Siesta Key piece, and then there were more sequences that occurred. And so we're driving kind of to the next beach, and then we get a warning on our phone. Hurricane warning.
Oh, yeah.
Hurricane warning, yeah. And so we're going to the next beach. We're like, oh, there's a hurricane. Oh, there's a... But then we start kind of tuning into it. More warnings are going off, and the area we're in, it starts to say there's a mandatory evacuation. We start to see it's like a Category 4 hurricane. We're like, what is happening?
Because the hurricane was definitely like happening throughout the day. We were becoming conscious and aware of these hurricane frequencies, warnings, and I didn't give a shit. I didn't care at all at first. But then when we went to Longboat Key, we had this huge sequence of the masculine not showing up for the feminine, and this huge clearing we had to do. And, you know, these are as within, so without, as above, so below. So this was my energies, you know, having issues with some things, not being sure of some things. And then the sirens in the waters, like, sort of mocking me, like making fun of me, was kind of what I was receiving. And it was this wounding, and there was like the rage of the feminine for the masculine not showing up.
Yeah, and so in part of that alchemy, I was experiencing, I automatically was like, boom, and started like feeling the hurricane, and I felt the hurricane was this energy and this emotion of rage, and it was this feminine rage, and I was like, whoa, like, where's this feminine rage coming to? And then I was able to actually, you know, really integrate one of my aspects. And this aspect was a siren, and you know, I really saw this aspect the most clearly than I've ever seen before, and this siren was pretty scary looking, okay? And I was like, wow, you're scary and powerful, okay? And I was seeing this like whole pod group of sirens spinning around and around, and they were part of the chaos of creating the hurricane. It was the rage of the feminine. And so this whole sequence that really was coming through, and that then came through Robert was really speaking as that masculine voice, actually taking responsibility. And, you know, in that, he was directly speaking to me, and then to the sirens through me. And then through that, there was this process that these sirens and myself, and the siren aspect of myself, was going through, of forgiveness. And it was this softening of my heart that really started to, have compassion and feel, and really understand that journey of the masculine, and why, you know, they were ever in any which way. And so in that, then I saw the siren and this aspect of myself transform into this beautiful golden mermaid with diamond sparkles all over the place, and they all turned into these beautiful golden diamond mermaids. And I was like, oh, that's what's up, yo, that's what's up. And so this, I really heard, was actually very much part of the alchemy to help really lessen the impact of Hurricane Idelia. So
yeah, well, and it's interesting because it wasn't just like it wasn't just about me and my energy. It was also about the sailors and the fishermen, and these sort of this awareness that water is the mother. The mother is water, right? There's like this representation, but also like this truth that water bridges in these divine mother frequencies, and women hold more water oftentimes, like just kind of alchemically in their bodies, like as like it encodes frequencies. And so if you disrespect the waters, you are disrespecting the feminine. If you disrespect the feminine, you're disrespecting the waters. And there's this like, thing that I had to do with sea creatures, like monster like beings, sirens, like these beings that have been, it's like admitting that they have a right to be frustrated, admitting that we have effed with their waters, that we have done all kinds of things that are out of alignment with nature, that have not been helpful, and that they have legitimate concerns, and that their frustration, their rage is something that we are to acknowledge as humans. And through doing that, through admitting that and talking about some specifics, the nets, the bombs, whatever, like the things that happen in the waters, you can start to release the charge, right? Things are getting acknowledged. But it's when things are suppressed, that's when that internal dark mother kind of rage is like raging under the surface, and it can't. So yeah, after that whole sequence that happened at Longboat Key, we drove very far to another beach on this sort of island place called Anna Maria.
And Anna Maria is this point that is really part of the gate, the womb gate of Tampa Bay, and the other side is Fort DeSoto. And so we already camped and did work in Fort DeSoto, and so we were now bridging the other side of this womb gate portal.
Yeah, Anna Maria and Fort DeSoto being like these two islands, right? Like right at the entrance, and picture boats passing in between them, and so that's it's like such a beautiful island, like just this beautiful beach town. I mean, it just gorgeous and
white sand, like forever beaches, and the water in between these points too is it's a huge space and waterway.
Yeah. And so we drove and we were like, discerning where to go. And there was this one beach called Bean Point that is the very tip of Anna Maria. And we're like, well, of course we got to go there. We're healing the mother. We're healing the womb right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So people can discern what that is, right? but yeah, so we went there. And it was this incredible beach where the water actually from the bay and from the Gulf meet. And they sort of like merge and like cross paths. So the tide actually comes at two different directions in one point.
Yeah, and so many beautiful birds. And honestly, in all the beaches that we've been to around here, this is my favorite beach. Just the energy and everything there. It just felt...
It's like alive.
So alive.
It's just churning. I mean, we've been there twice, both times epic, and the land actually like adjusting for us to be there. We won't get into the second time too much, but the whole place is just a living Divine Mother frequency. Yeah. And so the sequence we got into was really like this, flow of, emptying out and receiving as we always do. And it turned into this giant womb clearing / reclamation journey of the Divine Mother.
Yeah. So Robert went through this amazing sequence and clearing session with me in my womb. And he is so powerful and talented in this area and is able to access layers and levels and dimensions like more than I've seen in any other being. Maybe there's a couple other few of you out there who are able to really access this depth. And so it was so thorough, and this is really part of Robert's gifts, is this deep ability to be able to access and clear quantumly in all systems, in all grids, and in all ways. So this was occurring.
Yeah, I scan through many dimensional layers, through many parts of the body. I have ways of doing this in quantum temple spaces, and so we have this way of weaving our alchemy, right, of like these quantum temple spaces that we set up, that we use, these energetics, these rays, these frequencies, these things we really utilize in the quantum space, as well as the physical representations, the wands, the different objects. And so this sequence was a giant sequence simultaneously with like this quantum space, and really getting into the body, finding where the areas are, going into specifics and beginning to clear transit stuck energies, old energies from relationships, all kinds of dynamics and things out, and like frustration, rage. Like you'd be surprised how much gets encoded in our bodies, even if we don't mentally think about it or we've done a ton of work. Like sometimes there's still lingering layers of things that can really mess with our ability to integrate and process. And, so sometimes getting in there in that depth can really bring things to a state of more completion. Yeah. And so this cleansing, right, it continued into this beautiful sequence. And there was a lot that happened, but this beautiful sequence with a pearl which, Daniela has all kinds of crystals. I have all kinds of crystals. They weave in and out. And she has some pearls. And so this pearl became a perfect representative of this white diamond, right, sort of innocence.
Of purity. It was, a pearl of purity.
Yeah. And so, I put it on corresponding places on Daniela's template, on her body, on her chakra systems, on her spheres, to really anchor this purity. And it was a beautiful sequence along the Grail, or the Gruel points, which is the central column of the eternal tree of life. Picture it's like the right side is the masculine side, the left side is the feminine side. 3, 6, 9 masculine, 4, 7, 10 feminine, and then there are these Gruel points of 1, 2, 5, 8, and then 11 and 12, that it creates this sort of diamond pillar in the center. And that's really where I placed this pearl in this sequence of, like, in these different places, just where I was guided to put it. There, like, the rhyme or reason was based off that.
Yeah, and there were requests coming through me too, like after he would place it somewhere, and I would be like, and now here. And so we were both listening and working with the placement, and then it really anchored in sphere 2, connected, to my roots, and really to that sacred region of my own being, and it was this frequency in that moment of me representing the mother and Robert representing the father, and me feeling and somatically allowing myself to feel in every cell of my body that I am held in the hands of the Father. And so that frequency itself is what helped really imprint my divine blueprint as a representation and an emanation of the mother frequency within the womb portal.
And when she's saying blueprint, she's talking about the 12-sphere tree of life, the 12-tree grid. But, like, through this innocence, this purity, and this ability to feel safe, right? Like, that being a sort of quantum thing she experienced within herself, that's still unfolding, right? This alchemy we do, it's like it permeates throughout time, throughout the levels, and we've already been working very deeply on these energetics for, a very long time. But she, had this massive realization moment, this integration moment of a huge chunk, just drop in, because of the experience, right? And we have to recognize this, like, we can do all kinds of things in quantum states or meditative states, spiritual states. I do all kinds of sessions, don't get me wrong, but there is something about the experience, the experiential wisdom of having, what she's saying, a somatic experience, having this land in the body with a partner, right? It could be me, it could be a brother, it could be another person, but having someone hold her in this way and, like, really treat her in this essence of purity that she is, and honor her and not infiltrate her energy, like all these various different things, really assisting this experience to land.
Yeah, and in that that trust, and between our specific alchemy that was so significant in this, is because it truly, in our union, was imprinting in the womb portal of creation, hey, the mother and father are here, and we're in harmony, and because of that foundation, then my template that I was saying, which, yes, is connected to my divine template and the eternal tree of life grid, and it's truly like the blueprints of our organic nature, like, it was able to, like, land right in this womb portal. And in that connection, I saw this was part of the birthing process of this white dragon of purity, this white diamond dragon of purity. And so as this was all occurring, I was seeing this golden egg in the bay, and it was starting to crack open, and I could see like light pouring through it. And so this was part of the sequencing of this birth, and you know, it's continuing on this birth of our elemental aspects. As all of the dragon lines are online now, we are now integrating them and awakening them within and then throughout. And so, you know, us having the opportunity and, you know, who we are, the keys that we hold, and being here and in this birthing process, we get to experience and play with.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we're very, like, who we are, like the communities that we sort of flock with. I'm literally seeing birds flock together as I say this. We are very aware of, you know, like alchemy sequences happening sometimes a year before, sometimes different time periods before, in sort of like a quantum level, but then them needing to permeate throughout this sort of spherical time, circle time, into the planet, through the grids, into a sort of integration process. And we're just recognizing that it is the people, right? The people who hold these frequencies, the women, right, whose bodies are clear enough, who also are representatives of the Divine Mother in specific essences or forms, right, who are the sort of aspects who are being asked to do these birthing processes. So this is just a conversation I want to share that we're all weaving together. And sometimes some people, like, I don't know, it's just like people just need to know that, right? Like, I just want to remind people, like, when we have these correlating experiences, when someone does grid work at a time, when something happens, like, we are clearing these things, assisting these things, integrating, and the somatic experiences are really articulations of these things, like landing. And it's just so beautiful, right, to be part of a process of that. That frankly so many people are working on, but then it's like it's a individual essences sometimes that can bring things through. So my beloved being very specifically attuned to like the innocence frequencies, right, and us doing a huge purification process and the innocence really being birthed through. And so that's why it's so specific to us being in this womb portal right now, working on this white diamond dragon of purity, bringing these things through.
And as we all share our pieces, we can see even with more clarity like what we're weaving, because we all have pieces for each other as well.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, there's like this beauty of, you know, we are expressing, right, with our voices, and through doing this we're releasing sort of like the songs of the mother, the songs of the elementals, their truths, right, their internal essences, both literal songs, frequency emanation, like songs, like, and words, expressions, you know, things they have to say. And in unlocking this, like through the innocence way, we are realizing our abilities to play, to really be together again as one harmonious family, right, working together, kin and quin, but also, you know, the other kin and quins, and all of us remembering we're playing, we're weaving again.
Yeah, and the quin and kin are the little inner girl and the little inner boy of our like crystal child within, that innocence within. And so as we really, you know, embody that cosmic trinity of the Holy Mother and the Holy Father and the crystal child, this is the inner child. Our innocence truly is our sovereign ruler. We are here to support that joy within as creation.